Yo, Prof here, and we've got Miss Paisley helping us out. There's a next video's right over there. But in this video, we have a cardboard box. Yeah, if you guys are into EDC, you'll like this one. Let's just say, oh, we better go get. You gotta be matchy. Do. Boo. Let's just say it involves one of my two colors. Now it looks like we need some light over by the Paisley Marine. Yeah. She's just snoozing, guys. Alright. That may give you a hint, and this may give you a hint. One second. Chunk out of my desk there. Didn't even touch the knife. By the way, have I mentioned how Tactile knife goes? They use this Uncut steel. Apparently really good. I'd never heard of it before. Oh, did I tape this down? How do I want to get this up? Well, instead of putting packing material in here, they just taped it down, which this is not a place I've ordered from before, but they seem legit. I saw them referenced in some other stuff. They're like a blade show. It's called a Recon 1. Paisley, that is exactly where you shouldn't be. Yeah, I can see your claws too. Yeah, why'd you have to come over here? I know I called your name, but you were sleeping. Yeah, you were sleeping. Huh? You guys can see your spots over here. Spot. And they go into stripes if you see them at a different angle. Yeah. You're a tiger striped leopard cat. Yeah. Alright. There's one. And you might know which one this is. That's why we had out the fat carbon Tactile Maverick right here. Really actually like this one. A lot of people had issues. Mine, because the fat carbon one's like a third or a second gen. There was movement in the blade. As you can see, mine has none. Up, down. And there shouldn't be. Apparently, originally they said like, oh, there's some that can happen. Mine, there's literally none there. And left, right, I also have no movement this way. So mine's tight. Apparently the original ones work. I've said that before about Tactile turns pen. When I come up with a new design or a new material for an existing design, maybe give it a bit. I usually don't though, because I'm me, you know. But I did in this case, especially for their knives. I generally choose to. And just to refresh your guys' memory, I got the Purple Haze, I believe it was called. And this thing is just fucking gorgeous. Here. There you go. Check that out in macro mode. Things just gorgeous. This guy's what sits on my desk. And of the knives I have from Tactile Turn, this is the one I generally... Oh, normally I can do that just fine, but there you go. A little goop on there. Might have. But this is the one that sits right up in front of my mouse pad, or above my mouse pad right there. Just like that, and I can grab it and use it whenever when I need a real knife. You know, rather than, for example, you know, something like this. Also in, you know, my color. So, let's see if we got something comparable to... I don't know if we do necessarily. Hold on here. I guess we can use this guy. Tuck XL Elite with the inlay here. Instead of using those, they're box cutter. You know, sometimes you actually need a knife. This is the one I tend to grab rather than my seasonal what do you want to call them? The Rockwell thumb studs. Now here's a non-seasonal one. Oh, there should be a video not that long ago on this. This one I got. I generally don't buy these secondhand, but that's the dark matter, and this one is beautiful. So this is a Rockwell thumb. That's thumb stud. This one's really tight. This is a smooth scale one. I don't have any of the seasonal ones in the smooth scale, so I was kind of hesitant on that, but the finish on that one was so nice. Couldn't pass it up, especially used, because you know these are numbered. The pens are numbered. I don't know if the knives are numbered, but there's not that many of them. And hey, at least I got a different scale on the Rockwell thumb stud than my previous ones. But this is the one I would prefer to actually use. In my state, there is, I don't know why I can't flick that open. I was literally doing it to start this video if you saw it. Could just be the angle that I'm at. In my state though, this is fine. Some states you have to have a blade less than 3 inches in order to be considered like not a weapon. 3 inches and greater is considered a weapon. That's why you'll see them at 2.99, 2.98. That's because it's equivalent to a certain number of millimeters, and it's less than 3 inches. Now in my state, that's not a thing anymore. We can have switchblades too. Those got repealed with like bow hunting laws. I don't know. I think it was, at least I think it was bow hunting laws. So in here, you're like, huh, that's suspiciously the same size. No, it's not. It's bigger. And that's why we were talking about it, is because this guy, we're gonna hold this guy. That's something I'm truly interested in. Not that I'm not interested in this one. I've been keeping my eye out on one of these for a long time. That was the hint. Right here. Right there's the hint. That is my Carrot G10 Maverick. Or Tactile Turn Bolt. So, not too long after that, they must have, because they had to buy the G10 material for the pens. On that, it's a much rougher texture compared to the fat carbon here. This is beautiful, but I can see why here. Like, this is super grippy. G10 is normally used as scale for knives, and I got myself the G10 Maverick. Not necessarily to match the pen, but once I saw it, they also came out with it in orange. It's been on my list for a while. I was just waiting for somebody to actually sell it, because a lot of places did not carry it, or you had to only get it direct from Tactile Knife Co. And because they're a knife company, their sales stuff is fairly restricted. That is actually the same reason why Tactical Keychains sells their tucks without blades. Because if they sold them with a blade, they couldn't sell them as like an accessory or like a I don't know what you want to call it, like something like that. They'd have to sell it as like a tool or a knife or a, you know, if they ship the blade with it, effectively. And they had run into issues with that. And the big thing that Tactile Knife Co. has run into, and they apparently ran into it with their pens when they were selling stuff. I don't know if they sold other stuff other than pens at pen shows or what was going on there, or they know people in the industry. But PayPal, no likey knife companies because that's a weapon, right? However, it seems like some third-party places that only sell knives can get PayPal, but not the knife manufacturers. I don't know. But often I will just wait till third parties get these. Also, remember how I said the whole thing with... yeah, there's no playing this at all. I think this what do they call this again? This lock here actually goes up further than on the other one. Yeah, it definitely goes up further. Something cool about Tactile, by the way, they mill all their own hardware. So all that, and that's how they can have these really custom shapes, is they don't buy hardware from like McMaster Car or someplace. They make it all. So one of the complaints with the Maverick was I think I was reading this up, was they used a skeletonized frame. Under the G10, it felt heavier than the carbon fiber, which makes sense. I think G10 is heavier than carbon fiber, but it is not skeletonized. I don't know about in here. Let's take a look. Nope, it's not skeletonized. Like I didn't have, because a lot of people could squeeze this, and there's a little bit of give there, right? But I think on the original non-titanium, because they have ones of these with titanium scales, the non-titanium ones of those, had a skeletonized thing to make them even lighter, and they would flex. So that's another thing that's been revised, not just on the G10, but also on my Fat Carbon, which, like I said, it was like the third version put out or something like that. This thing feels super nice in hand, even grippier than the G10. So now what I can do, than the Fat Carbon, this guy will continue to be the desk one, just because I sometimes like picking up and just looking at it. That purple, I still am possibly interested, and I probably would get a different knife in it if they do Fat Carbon again, but they have like a tropical something that I thought I wanted first, that this turns out the purple haze is just a nicer color in my opinion. But this guy, just because it just catches the light just right. This one's going to stay on the desk. But if I need to go out and actually carry an actual knife, you know, not one of these guys, you know, for example, carry a knife, not just a box cutter, like so, I can actually carry this one, and it's in this nice orange, just like how I said, like my main bolt going forward is this G10, and I've kind of stuck to that. This one's already used a ton of ink in it. The clip has loosened up compared to some of the other thick bolts, you know. I have had a lot of new pens though. I've had 2 stacks. If you guys have watched, I've had 2. Here's the newest stack that has the black blue, not blue black, black blue G10. Look at that graining on that. Oh, gorgeous. So, and then we've got the new switch click with that new mechanism that I got from another guy that did a Kickstarter for 2 generations of those. We've got the new tactile turn. I think this is called the TK switch. We got the Vice day and night, and I'm trying the Muji refills with these. This has the stick that's got the click Muji. Not too fun. The stick Muji, great. And actually, even though they're uniballs, somehow they fit in the bolt pens. You know, kind of like my numbered Nebula here. without cutting down, whereas a normal uniball refill you would have to cut down. So I may, like, the Muji refills are also cheaper than uniball refills directly. So I don't have to cut them down, and they're cheaper. So I might just buy those from now on. So there we go. This is the previous block that's up there. We got another bolt up here. This is the M-Bright DLC M-Bright. So the nice DLC coated titanium here with the M-Bright ends. The nose is a bit blunt, but apparently that's all I could do with the M-Bright. We got a bunch of Ultima on here. Love how this one turned out with the green. So the orange carrot pen is quite a ways back now. I think it was their April Fool's joke. And then, like I said, so think about this. It's now middle of September. I want to say this came out, I don't know if it's end of the month, April, but probably May is when the orange G10 Maverick came out. So I've been keeping my eye on it for a while, and for the longest time, the only places that were selling the orange G10 Mavericks were third-party places that were outside of the U.S. Yeah, it makes sense, because Tactile, Knife Co. can ship it, within the U.S. So I was kind of just waiting for it to pop up at another retailer, and it did. While I was there, though, this is why I don't go to, like, people are like, oh, if you like knives and you like EDC, why don't you go to, like, Blade Show or Pen Show? But you'll see why. You'll see why I don't. Oh, and here's my little card. They filled it out with orange. Look at that. Look at that. They filled it out with orange. G10 orange. Blade MC 63 to 64 by Rusty. 524. Told you it was back then. So, boop, boop, boop. What do we have here? This is a company out of Canada. FocusWorks. They make a lot of EDC items. And EDC, everyday carry for the, I mean, like, if you're here, you probably know that. But I was on the site that ended up selling me this, which was that Recon, Recon 1 with a 1, not O-N-E. Recon 1, right? So I'm on there on this, and what pops up is other orange knives, because they're like, oh, if you want an orange knife, you want other orange knives. And the one downside about this Tactile one is, unlike this fat carbon that has a unique feel and looks unique, sadly, this looks like just about any other knife using G10 orange. Now, I already like the knife, so that's not a problem. I have the pen, so I also like the company. We'll support them, that sort of thing. But while I was on there, another knife showed up in orange. And I didn't actually get it in orange because, holy, did they have some good colors. They got some, like, there wasn't a bad color out there except for maybe this, like, the black. You're like, how's black a bad color? Well, all the other colors are this good. That's how. So, FocusWorks EDC, Bob the Boxcutter. All right, Bob the Boxcutter. You gotta look that up. That is what this ended up being. And I was like, I think it might be actual. This might be the first, what they call blade holder, right? Which is like a utility knife box cutter, like the Tuck. This is Tuck HD. This is Tuck Elite. Technically, it's a Tuck XL with an inlay. This is one I have over on where I would open Pokemon cards and stuff like that. We haven't been over there in a while, so I thought I'd grab it because it's a little bit more upscale. We need a little bit more upscale because I didn't just buy the standard Bob the Box Cutter. No. I did buy the aluminum one. That's pretty standard. They also apparently had, like, I think brass. But that was on the first batch. This batch is specifically made, and if you look at the shape here, it is bigger than a Tuck XL, but not by a lot. And it's actually girthy in some of the ways that I would consider, like, the right ways. Like, this can be too small for some things, right? Now, for me, I'm so used to using it that, and I actually get a bit more grip by having a clip on it. I have some that don't, and when I grab them, I don't have this little bit of meat right there, right? So even if I put a lanyard in it or loop it on something, I still leave a clip on because I'm just so used to gripping it like this, and that kind of fills in that gap of your two fingies right there. Well, if you're doing heavy work, and this actually happened to me, I actually cut myself quite substantially on this finger when I was using my here's a standard one. This is the one I used to run for Geek Squad. That is my Gerber EAB Lite. This is a stock one I bought at Walmart. You can see I actually I used it a lot. Like, that's worn in there, guys. So what can happen? You can see it's like chipped. Like, yeah, this thing's been used. So that's how you generally open it. Is you grab it by the top part like this, and you just pow. Irwin blades. Yeah, I used to run Irwin blades. Because I didn't want to spend for the carbide, and I didn't know the carbide were better back then. And everybody was, even when the carbide was up, everybody was still pushing the Irwin bimetal and or the Lennox. They're shite compared to the DeWalt or Stanley carbides. What can happen here is you hold it like this. Now, if you're really bearing down on something, what can easily happen is that, like, you slip off forward because you're trying to get like really on it. And I actually, you can kind of see where that is right there. I got myself real good with this one time, because these are actually even thinner than the Tuck. And I was breaking down some multiply cardboard with this, like this. And if you see, this is and this part is even thinner than this, right? So because it's just stacked stainless steel. You can see right there. I think it's like five stacks. One on the outside, one on the inside. So it's two. So it's 6 stacks, right? Well, this is even thinner here. That's only 3, looks like 3 or 4 of the. So it's thinner. So you already kind of, like, when you like this and you're really putting force on it, this really cuts in your finger a little bit, right? So I was not looking, and as I was cutting, like, I was cutting down like a, if you guys know what a Gaylord is, it's like a pallet, cardboard pallet with sides. It's like a, yeah. And I should have been using a bigger knife, but I had this on me and I use this for everything, so I was using this. It was like 3-ply minimum, and thick 3-ply. Well, because this already kind of bites in your finger a little bit, I did not notice that I'd slipped off and gone here. And well, you can see right where that line is on there. Oh, we got myself good. So that's where I'm saying, like, even with something like this, you might want something bigger, because this doesn't give you any leverage. Like, if you're holding it like this, you got nothing on this whole backhand. That's where you want to get, if you're really breaking down some thick cardboard, or like, say, cutting up carpet or doing anything like work related. That's when I have my true, like, utility knives, not just box cutters. There is a difference, and I have 2 different sizes now. Both are Fiskars. I was going to show you guys the original Gerber EAB, but it's actually still in my car because that's my original one that I got when I was working at Walmart when I was in high school. And it was there, and I it was like $10 even back then. Amazing price, because these are like 60 to 80 minimum, I want to say. No, this orange one I don't want to say is too bad. The Elite, much worse. Titanium, unreasonable. $200, I think. Full copper, one of my favorite ones. Oh, I don't know. I always like the copper ones. I don't like carrying these, but at the desk, I prefer having the extra weight of the copper. The reason why I don't like the titanium, like, I actually would prefer titanium, or even more so stainless steel. Apparently the size of the pieces they get, like the bar stock of the titanium to make the titanium knives, is different. So it makes the opening way bigger, because they don't mill the sides down first. So then it makes that opening way bigger. You can see there, like, that slot is just way bigger. Yeah, I really like the weight of the copper at the desk. This is kind of like my desk one. This is the one I carry around to do. This isn't my everyday carry. My everyday carry is the yellow one. you know, because it gets banged up more than it gets used. But the one that gets like picked up and used around the house around here is this guy. Yeah, like I said, like because of this distance, like it's fine. You can get used to it, as you can see. You gotta flick it more though, because there's more. You can't just press down and go. If you see, it doesn't. You gotta kind of like barely unhook it and flick it. It's a different beast, if you want to call it that. And because I use these all the time, and my brain has like I can even grab one of my old ones that's before they like updated the button and a bunch of stuff. My brain knows like, you know, even though the button's not raised, like how far I need to push it and that sort of stuff. I'm just so used to using it. Could you get away with one of it? Yes. Holy shit, yes. Get one. But I think this is the first real competition to the Tuck XL. Other companies make things like that. Some of you might have seen, I actually did one from the James brand. I actually like the James brand's products. That product from the James brand is shit, in my opinion, compared to the rest of their products. It's fine. I don't know if it's fine for what you pay necessarily, because the actual part that carries the blade is plastic. The blade barely sticks out. Just watch my video on it. It's cheap and cheesy, which is odd to see from them. Now, a lot of people say it's not cheap and cheesy, but then I wonder, have they used one of these? You know? And I have some other stuff like this around. Like I have not cheap Amazon knockoff versions of the Gerber EAB. We have them just like strewn. I threw some magnets on them. We have them strewn around the house so you always got a knife to like break down a box, open a package. If you're dealing with cat litter, cut open something, you know, like that. Just just have them around. It's nice to have a sharp knife where you need it. And like the ones in the garage are orange, so you can't lose them. The pack was like $20. It was a good deal. And I bought those, like, I had those cheesy heart ones. Those, don't buy those. They're really cheap, but spend the couple dollars more and get, like, a true Gerber EAB that they'll sell you there. Those other things, they're, like, way too thin. They're barely usable. I think this is, like, a pretty good... I can hold it like this and break, like, open up, like, say when I was at on-site tech, I would open all my products, packaging, like the outside wrapper, the box it came in, all that stuff with this, right? This is amazing for that. Because of its handiness, I also strip some wires, or like just use it as a utility knife, and I can just pull it off my belt, use it, you know, bada bing, bada boom. But if you're doing some in my tool bag, I had a much bigger flip out DeWalt. That's still in there. The DeWalt ones are pretty good, but they don't make the DeWalt ones I like anymore. They were actually like out of metal and were flipping, and you could slide the blade in and out. The new Fiskars ones I have are pretty good. There's a bit of fit and finish that you need to like grind off an edge here or there. Either way, I use a lot of utility blades. I used to main a high carbon steel, like Japanese knife. I just have this out because it's a standard knife. Here's the thing. You use those for opening packaging. They suck when they get tape on them. You can't clean them off. You can, but they're a pain in the ass. Like when you get goop on them, right? Also, because you're cutting cardboard, like, I'm not going to say this is like the worst thing you can use a real knife for is cutting cardboard, but it's pretty bad. That's all cellulose fibers. They're going to dull very quickly. And what do you use usually on a blade like this for cutting cardboard? If you're cutting a sheet, you might use here, but most often it's all in the tip. Well, you know, they invented these for a reason. All you have is a tip. That's all you use when boxing. So use the right tool. You know, it's kind of like, generally I wouldn't walk around. Like this actually on a day-to-day is more useful than this, right? But there are still definitely, because remember, this is a long, pokey piece of metal that's sharp along its whole thing. And it's got a bit more meat to it, you know, especially when you get into either the high carbon steel like Olfa blades, or like I'm using the DeWalt carbide or the Stanley carbide. They've become very brittle. Prying, you're going to break your blade. If it's really dull, it's fine. But, you know, keep that in mind. Yeah. So, on to this. This is a FocusWorks. They make a lot of EDC things. They're out of Canada. Made in Canada. Made, shipped, everything. Bob the Boxcutter. This was the first, what do you want to say, like blade holder / utility knife that I thought could you know, go up against the Tuck XL. It is a little bit longer, as I showed you on the back image there, the side image there. But it's I think it makes up for it. So, yes, it feels a little hollow, which I don't necessarily like. Is the screw just not tight? Yeah, I think the screw's not tight. So it's just got a standard Stanley blade in it. It works like a bolt pen. That's also why I had the bolt pen out. So I don't want to. Yeah, here's bolt pen. And yeah, some people see bolt pens and they're like, "Oh, you always gotta go like doop." No, you don't. You just kind of like flick it down. If it's made correctly, you just like that. This is the same sort of thing. If you know, it's the same sort of notch mechanism. Push it forward and over, and it locks. And it's back. It's locked pretty well. The problem is that'd be pushing. You don't push much with a knife. You pull. And there's give. Now it'll stop, but I guess that does. Yeah, you gotta be careful with that, because if you're pulling through something, right? You're like, why would you pull? You'd push this way. Yeah, that's effectively pulling the blade out, is what's gonna happen. If it comes through anything with significant resistance. If it's pushing purely against this blade, it won't. If you look, that's pretty good. That's solid. It's solid, you know, like that way. But if you actually like get it caught, it's gonna go this way. And if you get it caught, I don't think you're gonna have to worry about that too much, because you know, you gotta get it over that lip. But effectively, that gets it over the lip. See? But it's this interesting bolt-like mechanism. So, and like I did say, earlier, before we went on a derailment again, I ended up getting the fancy one. That's why this one was more money. This is actually one made specifically for Recon 1. This design is apparently listen to that. That I don't like. Makes it feel like hollow, like a. That, no bueno. That's why I said I thought part of this was. It's not loose though. So my next question is how do I change the frickin' blade? Because it's got a big Allen key and a little Allen key. Now, in the hand, that's what I was kind of getting to, is this, I would argue, I would take the increased size of this. Okay, smaller size. I'm so used to this thing, but, you know, there you go. Smaller size of this, right? So if you notice, like, you can get 3 fingies on. Pretty much always get 3 fingies on, even when you start gripping up a little bit on it, right? But that 4th fingy, that would really help. And this is not, it's bigger, but not a million times bigger, right? Now it doesn't have a clip because this back is actually like chunked up. Now this is pretty similar to how some utility knives work. They do make, okay, before we keep going, I bought the Recon 1 version. I think I already mentioned that. And the reason why I did is because look at that design. With this blue, this anodized blue, that just looks so freaking good. There you go. But yeah, exclusive Recon 1 design. Look at that. Like, it just looks, this finish, like I saw an orange. There's an orange anodized finish, right? That you know, like, long story continued. That's why this popped up. It's because the Recon one has an orange anodized version, and this was orange. And they're like, oh, since you want that orange knife, do you want another orange knife? And I did. It looked pretty cool. But what looked cooler was this sort of, this isn't like gunmetal blue, but I don't even know, with the brass in there, with that blue, gorgeous. It's actually kind of cool that this pivots. Like this pushy guy pivots with your finger as you push it up. Some of the reviewers, there are not that many reviewers of this thing. They're talking about it as a fidget device, and it kind of is. But yeah, why I was looking at it is I'm like, hey, it actually gives you a proper place to put your thumb, especially when you're cutting open boxes like this, or like this. You actually get some bumpers, and yes, this is a smooth one, so I don't see bump there, but there are bumps on this side, you know, if you're bearing down like that. But you know, like, ergonomically, this is more similar to, they like distilled down the minimums of a, like, box cutter. Like, you know, look at an old Stanley. It has this sort of bevel on the back. They distilled that down to as small as they can to kind of like get you a better grip on it. And that little bevel gets your finger and back in a nice spot. And this, oh, these are so freaking grippy right there. You know, like that actually feels better in hand. Like, this little bit thicker device feels better than this. But if you notice, no shaky, rattly, not like, this is just, it's very simple. It's two pieces of metal. There's I don't know if there's set screws or pins. We've had them apart before. Set screws or pins in there. They got all these kinds of different. This is a orange Cerakote that I'm slowly wearing on some of the sharp edges off. You know, like where it rubs a little bit. But whereas this thing, I don't know how I feel about that. They, as far as I could tell, I looked at FocusWorks website and these weren't on there anymore. I had trouble finding this. Now, it's been out for a little bit. The Recon 1 versions of them seem to be really new. And before I spent big bucks, because I do have a titanium one that looks gorgeous. Same finish as the tactical keychains Tuck XL I have, but in titanium. And I'm a sucker for titanium. I don't have any pens over here right now. I do have the pry bar from Karas Customs, but I have all of Karas Customs I have in one just plain titanium. To be truthful, if you're saying what metal pen would you EDC, or did I EDC, it's going to be either a stainless steel or a titanium. So that is why, like, because that way when you get these nice finishes on here, like this vise, I still EDC them. But like when I was going into factories and stuff like that on an on-site, I would not bring one of these. That I'm not going to say it's going to get destroyed. I'm still pretty good about them, but you don't want them to fall out or whatever, you know. The nice thing about the titanium is, like, they're just, you don't have to worry about them. They bump stuff in your pockets. What's going to touch them? What's going to touch them, right? So I picked up this one because this blue, I don't want to say it's like a gunmetal blue, but it's like a blued blue. I'll link down their website. This blue is just gorgeous with. It's the kind of blue that looks gorgeous with the brass / bronze colorway. Really, really nice. So I picked it up, and I'm like, if I really like this one, I can always pony up for the titanium one they have at a later date, you know. Now, once it's out there, it doesn't have the shakiness to it. Like I said, there is that pulling out. Up and down is mostly okay. Just for example, almost nothing in and out, and almost nothing up and down. There's a little bit like full-size box cutters or full-size utility knives, not just like box cutters, have that much movement. Now, what I'm really interested in is how the frick you get the blade out of here, because I'm trying to lift this up. If you have to every time unscrew this with a Torx bit or an Allen, it looks like. I think a lot of people said they were Torx. No, those are Allens. And that little bugger, I know from tactical keychains, is going to strip out. Until I actually had to switch screws at some point. Like here. There you go. See? That's even smaller, and these were stripping out at one point. Let's see if in the bottom of the box we got any instrucciones. That's in there. Okay, here's another thing. This makes me think there was supposed to be a clip on it. I mean, there's not. And I think that's because they added this finish on the back here for the Recon 1 edition. But why would you put a notch in the bottom like that if there wasn't supposed to be a clip? Because if you look at tactical keychains, right? Imagine instead of the clip being on this corner, because the hole's on this corner, you would have the clip here. So this box just makes me think that either there are versions of it that have... Yeah, that's not coming out. Either there are versions of it that have... Here, how to replace the blade. Let's watch... you guys are on my cell phone. This is a predicament. You get the other cell phone, which is probably dead. I just realized this. Nope, we got 18% on the old Ronald McDonald phone. Beep boop. Yeah, I use Firefox even on old Ronald McDonald. That took me to a completely... Here. Product care. Anodized or flame stainless steel or titanium. Will wear eventually from skin oils and tight retainer. Blah, blah, blah. Get in touch. Information. It literally... There's nothing... It's about bearing retainers and something else. There's nothing about replacing the blade. Why would they... Bruh. Why would you have a QR code? It takes you to FocusWorks, EDC, CA Pages, Product Care. So it's how to replace the blade, but on their Product Care website, they don't have actually how to replace the blade. Let's try US. 404 doesn't exist. Like I said, this Bob the Boxcutter was not on their site anymore. Quite hard to... Like, I really think it's gorgeous. Like I said, orange one pop up there. Even the orange finish is like a burnt orange. It's not the usual like anodized orange you get, which is like more of a gold. It's like a burnt orange. And this one, oh, I love this blue. Like I had the orange in my cart already, and then I was like, oh, let's see what else I got. Then I also, before buying it, I'm like, I should probably look up more. I obviously did not look up how to change the blade, otherwise we'd be doing it already. There you go. You can see I already searched it. FocusWorks Bob the Boxcutter. Yeah. Jordy Wallace. Is this somebody related? Not loading. Oh yeah, it must be FocusWorks. See, FW. Yeah. Take the handle. Yeah, about there. Yeah. Okie doke. Yep. Yep. down, down. It's going to lift at the back.
Like you're trying to bust the end off until it clicks. And then you click.
Okay. So okay. So you can do it. Okay. Then this is less bad. Less bad. I was going to be like, cuz I have other knives like these, by the way. And you have to fully frickin' assemble them. Even the original Tuck, you needed 2 screws just like this. 2 bigger ones. They were like the back side of that one. And when David and I had our copper ones, we actually rounded the copper over the screw. So, change the blade. Supposedly, we go right about here. Hold this. There you go. Out it comes. Stanley number 1922. Nice big magnet spot on the back, you can see. Yeah, you can see the big old magnet holding it in. So let's see if I flip it over now, how easy this is to, so right before the notch, pop it in, hold down to get it past. So my one concern, and I can't see in there, is that all that's holding this blade in, now it seems pretty good, right? Especially once you advance it far enough. Because I'm guessing the blade can't lift up. It can a little bit. Oh, ho, ho! Yeah, you don't have to even do what they say. You can just lift up the blade. See, so that's another issue I would have. I don't know if those are real concerns. I'd have to start using it in order to determine, because like they're showing you want to have it here to lift it out, roughly, and you can lift it up and out. See, right? I had it. There you go. There you go. Like that, right? I managed to do it when it was all the way up like this. That is much harder to do. I must pinch it or something. Yeah, because when it's all the way forward, past this notch here, the only where it goes is forward more. That right there is a limitation of the bolt action, just like on a pen, right? If you bolt action it, it actually has to go out past and then come back in. Same thing with this knife. So that's why there's that little bit of play. All you guys see is Paisley head. Come here, Pace. Come on. Sit down. Yeah, you're going to dig yourself a spot, and then I'm going to get up because we're almost done here with the guys on the YouTube, Pace. Yeah. It's definitely a little bit more work than the Tuck XL. Also, for reference, this does not go like you could unhook it here. You have to like move it down and then slide it out. Because technically, to remove the blade, what you should be doing is go here. Yeah, like that, and then you put it back in, slide it under, you gotta slide that forward, slide it back, slide it forward, there you go, you're good. So I guess that's not any worse than this. And I tried lifting this way, it doesn't unlock when it's all the way forward. That's important. They must have done some testing at least. But yeah, those and the fact that they're brass in there, you got to remember that the blade in here right now is steel, right? That's not that I mean, that's hard on the brass, that's for sure. There you go. You hear it. Oh, you can unhook it. So on the brass, I know from the inside of my original copper Tuck XL that's why on the newer one I have the copper and carbon fiber. I know that's the counterintuitive because one side's super lightweight carbon fiber, one side's super heavy because of the copper. That they actually replaced it, like I said, with either a set screw or I think it's a set screw in that one. So that the actual like retention of the blade is not on the copper part. And they even did that with the aluminum, because think about it, steel's stronger than aluminum too, you know. And what'll happen is if the nub, what nub I'm talking about is, you can see one right there. Hopefully there's two, so there's one up further, because remember these blades have at least two spots. Hopefully it's not just this one. On the TK, or sorry, the Tuck XLs, there is only one that's used because of how far out the blade goes and the fact that you can put it out another notch if you want to. Not recommended in my opinion. There you go. So you can see I'm very used to using those. So this is not, like I said, I was a little bit worried, like, because of how, but how you have to do it about just before that the bolt notch there, and then you can kind of bend the blade and not bend the blade, but tip the blade off, because you're basically releasing it from the magnet that's in there. In these, the magnet holds the knife in position, like as in here. It holds it towards the lock, but the pegs are still locking the blade in, right? The magnet's just holding it towards the block. That's how if you look at the blade sucked to this side, right? Same thing. When you slide it, you push it against the back. But then when it locks in, it locks to the front using magnets, right? This one works a little bit different in that the magnets are holding the blade this way, and then as you shove it, because it tapers, basically it's utilizing that taper to pinch down. I don't know how. I mean, we can pull it apart and find out. I probably will not pull this one apart until I get a different one. You know, until, like, say if I buy the titanium one, I might pull this one apart. I didn't actually take apart my old copper one until I got my new copper one, because I was like, I wonder if they fixed that issue of that thing happening. They had. I took apart the old and the new one actually. But yeah, so now that you can quick change it, I thought I had read you could quick change. I just didn't look up how. And I would argue that first looking at this, I mean, even I know how this one does it. First looking at this here was not readily relevant, and I was like, I really hope I don't have to take it apart. Not readily relevant, readily apparent what the process was. But I think, and we'll run this. It's missing a clip, so I'd be interested in a version that has a clip. But I like that it's a little bit thicker. Gives you a little bit more purchase, like I was talking about. Also, this gripping right here, beautiful, beautiful. You're never gripping. That's one downside of the Tuck XL. You grip on the button. So if you're ever cutting anything with the Tuck XL substantial, push the button back. Go like that. Now, a lot of the quick cuts, you want the button forward so that what you can do is, and what do you make quick, hold on here, it gets stuck on the other side of the blade. So what I mean by quick cuts is it's like, oh, I gotta open this package. Open, put it away, right? But if you ever actually do need to bear down on one of these, make sure you advance it and then slide the button back, because it can't retract then, right? Because there's nothing to push down on it. And then you can really put your finger there without worrying, because I showed you earlier, if you put your finger on the button, you can allow this blade to slide out. Like if you're pushing down on this, you can get it out the rest of the way. Like say if you're pulling on a box like that, it could pull the blade out if you're pushing down the button. So if you're doing just like sort of like I'm gonna cut the corners of the box, or a lot of times I don't even put my finger here, I'll go like this and just go, or you're holding it like this. Not a big deal. But if you really do need to bear down on a Tuck XL or Tuck HD or Tuck Elite, slide that back, and then you're not gonna have that issue. Now you do have to slide it forward, which is a pain in the butt, because it has to get over that little lip on the corner of the blade there. But you know, for quick things, like I said, I just hold her like this, and then you just slide her back. But like I said, it's a little bit short. Now they made this as short as possible. Like when Brad, that originally owned Tactical Keychains, designed this, he made this basically effectively as short as possible. The only thing he could have changed is if he didn't want the loop for the lanyard, he could have made it lefty-righty compatible, right? And then might have shrunk it up just a hair too. But it would have boxed it out more, right? And you wouldn't have been able to put, like, you would have been able to do a clip, but you would have had to make sure you put it on the right side so that you don't run into the blade. If you notice, the screws are up here, so that way when the blade's back, they don't hit those screws. So, but now I'm very used to this thing. Like I said, I have used these, I don't know when I got mine. Before 2020, well before 2020, let's say. You know, when I was working at Geek Squad. And not this one. Actually, you guys have even seen my Geek Squad variant one. Hey, Piz, can I get up? Yeah, let's go. Look at the Geek Squad one. It's actually over on the laptop repair workstation where it belongs. I bought David the exact opposite of this. So mine's black anodized top with gold anodized black for black and orange. His is gold anodized top with black anodized back. I got a gold button and a silver clip. He's got, and then black screws. He's got a silver button, gold clip, so it'd be gold on the black, right? And then silver screws. And it's kind of opposite C's. So this is what I used at Geek Squad for, you know, since I got it, basically. Prior to that, I had the copper one for the longest time. And then when I was at my on-site tech job, I had one of the, from the last batch that Brad made, a green one that even got, well, I was at Best Buy picking something up for work, you know, at the time, like you know, buying a cable or whatever. It fell off my belt and didn't notice right away, and I couldn't get back there till like after 5 p.m. So it was at least 4 hours, probably more like 8 hours in the rain, like as it was a rainy day, and because it had been right next to a car, and I know how it fell, because what can happen is when they're on their belt, the this guy, when it's on the belt, it can catch, like, say your part of your seat and your cushion, and it bends it back and then slides it off. And that is what had happened. So it fell right outside my car. So it fell into one of the you know, you see asphalt parking lots, there's like divots from where cars sit. Fell into one of those, and then cars were just driving on top of it and parking all day. It actually held up. It's got some deep gashes. Still works beautifully. I still use that as my, like, hey, if I need to do shit in the garage, I need to not care about one. That is the one that gets not cared about. But Brad actually sent me a new clip for it because it just got flattened into it. I was able to get it out by actually, like, fully bending it 180 degrees that way and undoing the screws. And it was still working. And he shipped me a new clip, and I was like, dude, you're awesome. All I had to do was dry the thing out, and you know, because the blade had gotten rusty from being out in the rain and that sort of stuff. But yeah, so quality product. Can't recommend the Tux and Tuck XLs more. There's a family of 3 brothers. I think it's 3 brothers that bought the, because Brad, doing them by himself, could not make a lot of the products that he designs fast enough. So they took over, and they have a larger machine shop and that sort of stuff. I would say they still don't come out quickly, because I bought something back for Mother's Day for my mom, and it's now middle of, it was a pre-order too that should have had enough time. Shit happens, guys. Shit happens. Apparently, like, that whole batch got dropped, and all it was a pink Cerakoted one. So imagine this, but like bright pink. Got that for her. Does she like pink? No. Her joke is that nobody likes pink, so we make her stuff pink. Also, when I was very young, I hated pink, because that was when the whole breast cancer for pink thing started. And not that I dislike the whole breast cancer thing, right? I was just annoyed that everything was freaking pink. Like, they're like, oh, now that this breast cancer thing's out there, let's just make everything pink. You know? and I was just annoyed by it. So she would buy pink stuff just to kind of like give me a jab, you know, like give me a. But then it ended up being like, I even found her because she liked she kept, I want to say stealing. I can't really get to it right now. There's a bunch of shit in the way. But my snap-on screwdriver, she kept on borrowing that, and I really like it, and blah blah. So Snap-on often does pink products. For breast cancer awareness, I found her a pink one, new in box, and gifted that to her. I don't know if it was last Christmas or her last birthday, something like that. Not cheap to get. Let's just say, even though it was 10 years later, I think, or 8 years later, it wasn't any cheaper. Let's put it that way. Well worth it. She uses it all the time. It even came with because it was the complete set of a charger, 2 batteries, and the tool bag. So she got the pink snap-on screwdriver that I used for the review with Linus Tech Tips screwdriver comparison. She's got that. I actually put Linus Tech Tips bits in it because I think there's more bits and they're better bits than what the snap-on had. And they're actually reasonably priced. But yeah, so kind of a bummer. That's like, I mean, these are still boutique items, hard to get. Like I said, like these were apparently like readily available at one point. Now when I tried to look stuff up on them, it's not easy to find the Bob the Boxcutter stuff. Heck, you even saw on the box, there's a link that says, here's how to change the blade. And it doesn't even direct you to a page that has directions on how to change the blade. And then I found the YouTube video from what seems like a representative of FocusWorks EDC, and yeah, I found it and whatnot. I really do think that, like, because this, like I said, is one that is specifically made for Recon 1. Their designs look way better. The other ones just look like bare aluminum that's been anodized. It's the same design on all of them, which is this pattern. It must be like a pattern of theirs, but the texture is way better. It seems actually slip resistant. It just gives them a bit of flavor. They are more money, but this blue just looks so good. You can kind of see it next to the purple. It's just like a real nice kind of like metallic blue. Navy, maybe? I don't even know what color. Cobalt. Definitely cobalt. I'm going to call it cobalt. Correct me down below in the comments. I'm going to rock this. You see how it doesn't rattle? That's how you know it's wedging somehow towards the front. That's probably why they have the wedge shape there. No rattle once extended. Could not make this a keychain. Definitely going to have to carry this in like the little like change pocket on the pants. Because otherwise, it's just going to be like the whole frickin' time. So, high chance you guys are going to see me in the future with the titanium one of these, because if this goes as well as I think it will, and I will try to use it around here for a whole bunch of stuff and try different blades. With this magnetic fitment here, I actually might be able to use my favorite blades now, which are the Fiskars ones. That's probably the reason why I decided to try the Fiskars knives, because they have like a special latch on them that makes them even easier to use. Annoyingly, the little square cutout, because it's right in the middle of the blade, and that is right where that little button is for using Tuck XLs. I tried running one in the copper one, and it got hung every time. So what would happen is that little bit of blade would stick out, and it got me, let's just say, more than once. See a little bit of blade, and if you don't know to look for that, because it didn't snap all the way back, because it couldn't, because the button couldn't go all the way forward because there was that hole in the middle. No bueno. But with this design, since the magnet holds it into that notch, I may be able to use the Fiskars blades, which are those hold an edge. like even better. Like the DeWalt, if you watch Project Farm, it was the DeWalt carbide, and I think he scored the Stanley carbide worse. They're literally made in the same factory. I had a box of 50 Stanley carbide ones, finally ran out of them. This is the first knife you're seeing the DeWalt carbides in. And they're actually like a cleaner blade in my opinion. There's less drawing and shit on there. Just like eyes blade, carbide edge. Whereas the Stanley ones had a lot more like drawn or etched on them. And not in a cool way, because Tactical Keychains actually takes the high carbon steel ones from Olfa, I believe, and does some like cool laser etching on them. They're real expensive though, so unless you're a super EDC freak, even higher than I am, and you need like cool replaceable blades in your utility knife, I can't pay the price they're asking for them. I know there's laser time and that sort of stuff, but these are like, okay, sometimes I don't go through a blade for a month. Other times I go through 5 in a week, depending on what I'm doing, right? So that is why, yeah, this in hand, like, we still can't get the pinky on there with my size hands, which we have proved. I always thought they were like 18.5, which we measure, at least for mice, from tip of the finger to the wrist. Yeah, that's more like 19.5 to 20. So apparently it's bigger than expected. I'm not saying my hands are massive or anything like that. They're not. But they're bigger than you guys were led to believe. Dun dun dun, was I faking it the whole time? No, I just apparently can't read a ruler until the previous video. So, but yeah, this, it like I said, there's a place for your finger, for your fingy. And the reason why I can do this is because instead, they're actually moving the back of the action that holds the blade, right? Whereas here, the button is on the blade, right? This is still a hell of a lot better than both of these are. Here, for example, you want to see some shit? Here's shit. Right here. This is shit. Here's your blade. That's where the slidey bit should be. And they could actually do it if you look at the top. There you go. So instead of putting this thing here, see how this is like just like you can't even get your thumb up here where you want it, right? This, that's horrible. See how this is on a piece of metal? Instead of putting this here, it should be there. Yeah, do not buy these. These are... I thought they were going to be like a super cheap way to get you guys into... I mean, if this is all you can afford, go for it. There's like 2 for $8. But the Tuck XL is actually still smaller. By quite a margin. You know. And here's the Bob the Boxcutter. So lengthwise, only this loop is longer for Bob the Boxcutter. So, but like I said, this, it gives you a little bit of right there. Much like if you're looking for something that's like your actual utility knife, your classic like Stanley or some of these other like the DeWalt slide out ones. One of them has a front very much like this, tapered on this side with a little grippy guy here. If you want that, but like without the ass end of the knife, basically, that you can quick deploy, that'd be this guy. One thing I will say is with how finicky that, and we'll have to see once I use it, but how finicky the blade change is in comparison to this, like this has a bigger hole, basically. When I break down a lot of boxes, and maybe the hole isn't necessarily bigger, but like you really gotta kind of like pinch it in there and slide it out. I don't know how a gooey gummy blade with like sticky tape and glue residue is gonna go in and out of here very well. You know, we'll have to see when I use it. But like this, to be truthful, guys, this is the first of these kind of. And if you guys know one that would like, if you think you have something better than this, put it down below in the comments, please. I'll probably buy one and try it, and it probably won't be. See, prove me wrong. This is the first thing that's come anywhere near, in my opinion. they, like I said, they claim that this is somewhat of a, you know, because it's an EDC, that this is like a fidget. That should be razor sharp. Fidget with this, I mean, I know, even sometimes I'll sit there in meetings and, you know, play with the knife. But, careful. Careful. I showed you where I have a scar on this finger from bearing down on a utility blade a little bit too hard. Unintentionally. Putting my whole weight on it, actually. Don't do that. No, 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 no. Alright, well, hopefully this extended double feature... Oh, we got ATV four-wheel drive cat. Paisley Marie. You didn't see it. She was climbing like the stacks of mice, the vinyl. She's got four-wheel drive. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this double feature of EDC knives. I got my G10 orange Maverick that I've been lusting after for a while. I think it might have even been a little bit cheaper than its launch price. To match my carrot pen. As well as, like I said, this is why I don't go to blade shows. I'd go there to get a thing that I knew I wanted because they had it, and I'd end up spending another good chunk more. Pen shows would probably be the same thing. I already showed I have an issue there. So, see you in the next one. Peace.